It was a bright, crisp spring morning, one of those days that feels like a new beginning. The field outside the police canine academy was buzzing with excitement. Rows of proud officers stood shoulder to shoulder, their uniforms crisp, boots shining in the sunlight. Families gathered with their children, some carrying banners with hand-drawn paw prints, others holding cameras, ready to capture a once-in-a-lifetime moment. The air was filled with laughter, clapping, and an unspoken sense of honor and pride. Then, in the middle of it all, everything shifted. A small girl with golden brown curls, wearing a lavender dress and holding a faded stuffed bunny, stood at the back of the crowd. She wasn't clapping. She wasn't smiling. Her eyes were scanning, searching, with a mix of desperation and hope. In her tiny hand was a wrinkled photograph, clutched so tightly the edges were frayed. Her lips parted, and in a small, trembling voice, almost too soft to hear, she said, "That's my hero." She was pointing at one of the graduating dogs, a powerful German shepherd sitting at attention beside a uniformed officer. Everything fell silent. Heads turned. The officer looked down at the dog. The dog looked up at the girl. And then, everything changed. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the loyalty of animals, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel, Positive Tales. These stories remind us of the beauty in this world, and they deserve to be heard. Just 1 year before, little Ava Bennett's life had been full of ordinary joys. She was 6 years old, loved baking cookies with her mom, building Lego castles with her dad, and reading bedtime stories under the covers. But above all, her favorite thing in the world was Max, a strong, alert, and deeply affectionate German shepherd her family had adopted from the local shelter. Max had a rough past. He had bounced between shelters, labeled too aggressive, unfit for adoption, and not safe around children. But the Bennetts saw something else in him, something worth saving. And Ava? She fell in love instantly. She wasn't afraid of his scars or his bark. She saw his soul. Max became her protector, her shadow, her silent guardian. They would sit for hours in the backyard, Ava reading aloud while Max lay beside her, one ear twitching every time a squirrel dared to cross into his domain. He slept by her bed every night, nose pointed toward the door. It was as if he knew that one day, he'd have to step between her and something far worse than nightmares. And that day came. It was a Tuesday night. Quiet. Peaceful. The wind whistled through the trees outside their house on the edge of town. Ava had just turned off her nightlight, her bunny tucked under her arm, when the back window shattered. The intruder moved silently, methodically, his footsteps padded in stolen sneakers. He crept past the hallway, past the family photos. He was 2 feet away from Ava's bedroom when Max exploded from the shadows. There was no hesitation. No fear. Just instinct. The growl that came from Max's chest was the kind that chills the blood. He launched himself at the man with a fury no words could describe. The crash, the chaos, Ava's screams, all of it erupted in seconds. The man fought back, slashing with a knife. Max didn't retreat. Even as blood poured from his side, he drove the attacker into the hallway, giving Ava's father time to grab his bat and chase the man out. The intruder was caught 2 blocks away. But the real battle was unfolding on the living room floor where Max lay bleeding, eyes barely open, breath labored. Ava's mother screamed. Her father wrapped Max in a towel and drove like a madman to the emergency vet. Ava held his paw the whole way, whispering, "Don't go. Please don't go. You saved me." The vet didn't offer much hope. The stab wounds were deep, one had punctured his lung. Surgery was risky. But they tried anyway. Hours passed. Ava sat on the floor of the waiting room, refusing to move. Her parents offered food. She wouldn't eat. She just cried. And prayed. Somehow, some miracle, Max survived. But the vet gave the family a difficult choice. Max's trauma had intensified. His aggression toward strangers was unpredictable. He was no longer safe in a home with a child, even if that child was his whole world. It was a devastating truth. The family wept. Ava screamed. But ultimately, they made the heartbreaking decision to surrender Max to the canine police training unit. The officers had heard about Max's bravery. They believed he had the raw potential to serve, to protect others the way he had protected Ava. Ava didn't understand. All she knew was that her best friend was gone. She stopped laughing. She withdrew from school. Nightmares returned. She wouldn't walk near windows or sleep with the lights off. Her therapist called it post-traumatic stress. But her parents knew Ava didn't need medicine. She needed Max. Even as time passed, Ava never gave up. Every week, she mailed drawings and little notes to the Canine Academy, addressed simply to Max. "I love you." Sometimes the officers read them aloud to him. They said he would sit, tilt his head, and stare at the door like he was waiting for someone who never came. Meanwhile, Max was changing. Training wasn't easy. He was older than most recruits. He had behavioral issues. But what made him different was his resolve. He didn't just obey commands, he lived them. His training officer said, "He works like he's got a mission already inside him. Like he's fighting for someone." And he was. Every sit, every track, every bite hold, it was all for Ava. Nearly a year passed. Max became one of the top dogs in his unit. He was about to graduate and be assigned to a narcotics team. That's when the academy, going through graduation RSVPs, saw a familiar name, Bennett. "And a special request, we would like to come. Ava just wants to see him one more time." They said yes. The day of the ceremony arrived. Max hadn't seen Ava since the night he nearly died. He had been through battles of his own, physical and emotional. But as the music played, as the officers lined up with their dogs, Max's ears perked. He sniffed the air. And then he saw her. Tiny. Still wearing the same bunny hair clip. And holding a photo of him. She pointed. "That's my hero." Max broke formation. There was no barking, no growling. Just a sprint, fast and focused. Ava dropped her bunny and ran too. They met in the middle of the field, Max wrapping his big body around her, her arms locked around his neck. She sobbed into his fur. And for the first time in almost a year, Max wagged his tail. The academy paused the ceremony. People stood with their hands over their mouths. Many cried. The bond between a girl and her dog had survived fear, distance, and the darkest of nights. After much deliberation, the academy made a historic decision. Max would be assigned to a community outreach role, still a canine, but with one exception, he would live with the Bennetts. He would patrol with his handler by day, and come home to Ava by night. The healing began that very day. Ava smiled again. Her nightmares faded. She went back to school, bringing pictures of Max in his badge collar. The dog who had once been labeled unfit for adoption was now a symbol of courage for the whole community. Max still works part-time with the department. But more importantly, he's Ava's hero. Her protector. Her hope. They say dogs remember everything. But Ava remembers too. And every night, as she drifts off to sleep, Max curls up beside her bed right where he belongs. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like, share, and subscribe to Positive Tales. Your support helps us share more stories like Max and Ava's stories of second chances, loyalty, and love that never fades. Tell us in the comments, have you ever been saved emotionally or physically by a pet? We read every story, and your words may help someone else heal.